This is Rachel she was on treatment.
Rachel Baumgartner Lozano was diagnosed with a rare and deadly cancer during her sophomore year in high school. It was 1998, and chances of beating the tumor growing on her spine were slim.
It was shutting down my body. I had to have emergency surgery. Then I went through a year of chemo and radiation.
That killed the cancer, but it came back with a vengeance.
I had a life-threatening bone marrow transplant that I almost didn't survive. And then about a year and a half after that, it came back between my heart, lung, and spine.
This third recurrence was bad. The cancer was in a spot too dicey to operate. 2 years went by. Doctors managed her pain, but knew she was terminal.
When a patient has a recurrence, survival is typically measured in days to weeks.
I just wanted to do something each day that was meaningful so that if it was my last day, then I wouldn't be regretful about anything.
Finally, the decision to operate, the last resort to save the 21-year-old girl.
He took out a tumor the size of a small football, and he had sent the whole thing off intact to the pathologist. And 2 days later, the pathologist calls and says, "This is all scar tissue." And it was just, "Do you have the right patient?" I said, "What do you mean it's all scar tissue?" He said, "It's all scar tissue. It's dead."
What doctors were sure was cancer suddenly was not. And that is what the Vatican is investigating as a miracle.
Medically, you just kind of go, this shouldn't have happened.
In 27 years and hundreds of patients,
It's a wall of memories.
Dr. Bergamini has never seen a success story quite like Rachel's.
I define a miracle as something that is unexplainable by common medical practice, accepted medical practice, and Rachel certainly falls into that category.
That's a mold of my back.
And that makes Rachel wonder if prayer and a certain priest played just as big of a role as modern medicine. Daily, she asked Blessed Chaminade, a founder of the Marianist order, to intercede on her behalf, to cure her of the deadly cancer.
That energy was so important to keep me going, and it was one of the only things that gave me hope, too.
Rachel and her doctors have spent 6 years testifying in what amounts to a Catholic court case, proving that modern medicine alone didn't cure her. The Pope ultimately decides if Chaminade should become a saint. If he thinks that Rachel's cure is miraculous, it'll be only the second miracle to happen in the Catholic Church here in St. Louis. The last one happened in the 1800s. Making it hard to overestimate what this would mean for the St. Louis faithful and to Rachel.
I still think that I'm a miracle either way.
So here's what happens next. Tonight, Vatican investigators will officially close Rachel's case during a prayer ceremony at Our Lady of the Pillar. That's Rachel's church. Then the miracle investigation goes to Rome. The final decision on sainthood could take months or even several years. It's a long process, guys.
And talk about who she was praying to when she was praying to be cured.
She was praying to Blessed Chaminade. Chaminade, of course, a big name here in St. Louis. He's the Marianist priest who this order runs Chaminade, Vianney, St. Mary's high schools. And the way that Catholics pray is in intercession. So basically saying that if you're already in heaven, you might have God's ear a little better than the rest of us. So we would say we're asking Chaminade, who's there with God, to intercede on our behalf, and in this case for Rachel, for a cure.
And it's quite a process, and obviously regardless of whether this is deemed officially a miracle or not, it's an amazing story, and we're just thrilled that she's doing so well. I mean, she's so healthy, she's married, and it's phenomenal.
John, to me, to hear her doctor say, yeah, I can't explain this. This is really something else. To me, that's what really kind of got me.
Right.
And I know this story personally, as in full disclosure, I went through chemo with Rachel. I'm a cancer survivor myself. I was 17 when I was diagnosed, and I'll never forget, my first chemo was Rachel's 16th birthday.
Wow.
So I've been friends with her for 10 years now, and I'm cancer-free. But what I went through was an absolute cakewalk to what this girl went through. And to see her today is just, I know this story. I've heard this story.
Right.
I lived this story with her. And to hear her talking about it and to hear our doctor talking about it, it's incredible.
And we're going to hear more about this throughout the morning. This is such an amazing story, and obviously Maggie has such a personal tie to it, so we're going to learn more about Rachel and Maggie's story with her.
And this whole miracle process,
Right.
what makes a miracle,
I'll
that
explain
kind of
more
thing.
about that.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Such a good story. Well, some are calling this young woman the first St. Louis miracle in more than a century. Rachel Baumgartner Lozano is now, or not supposed to be alive today, but she is. And she fought a rare and deadly cancer for 6 years. Doctors say they can't even explain how she beat it. And now the Vatican is investigating her case to see if it is a miracle. This
And
is
Maggie
unbelievable.
Crane knows this story pretty well because you went through chemotherapy with this young woman.
Yeah, like I said before, what I went through was a cakewalk compared to what Rachel went through, but she's doing miraculous today. I mean, she's such a force to be reckoned with. And I sat down with her doctor as well and talked to him at St. John's Mercy Children's Hospital, where we were both treated, about what he thinks of this cure. Listen in.
I define a miracle as something that is unexplainable by common medical practice, accepted medical practice, and Rachel certainly falls into that category. Whether this was due to the intercession of Blessed Chaminade is for somebody better educated in theology than I am to be able to say, but certainly Rachel is one of a number of patients that has survived, is cured, and medically you just kind of go, this shouldn't have happened.
So for the past 6 years, Rachel and her doctors have testified in basically what amounts to a Catholic court case. They've told their story to a team of priests and other doctors who will determine if there is any other way that Rachel's cure is anything but a miracle.
Okay, so how does the sainthood work?
All right, so Rachel prayed to Blessed Chaminade, a French priest in Revolutionary times. She prayed for his intercession, asking him to cure her of cancer. She believes he did, and now Chaminade is already credited with curing an Argentine woman of cancer. So if the Pope thinks that Rachel's cure is miraculous, Chaminade will become a saint. It takes 2 miracles for somebody to be able to gain sainthood.
All right, and we have to go, but we have to
Yeah.
bring it up since you did. You were okay, and what
yeah.
kind of cancer did you have?
I had Hodgkin's disease, which is a lymphatic cancer. I was diagnosed when I was 17, and I've been 10 years cancer-free.
Wow.
So.